I sat outside the gym yesterday, to which I hadn't been in a while. I've been going through a lot of personal stuff recently. My mother did pass away, which has been very challenging, and I felt less motivated to go to the gym in a while. So I just sat outside the gym for a good 15 minutes before I
Did
got
you
on my
go
run.
in?
I did. I did go in. I did go in. Yeah, I hit up the treadmill probably about 10 minutes, but really for about eight. The rest of it, I was like setting some music and then I did a little light lift. It wasn't much. I'm going to get some tennis in today. That's my movement. But we
I'm curious. All right, I don't want to move on too quickly because you just shared something big.
yeah.
All right, I'm curious. How's Taylor? And would it be cool to tell the listeners a little bit about just what you've been learning and some of your reflections over the last week or two
Yeah, that's
in,
good.
in light of your mom passing?
Those are good questions. Taylor is it depends on the moment for that to answer that. There's some moments where I'm totally fine. There's some moments where I'm just breaking down and super sad. There's some I've snapped multiple times at my wife and just like anger that just bubbles up out of nowhere. Which has been interesting. I'll feel totally fine and then snap at something. I call it a $90 reaction to a $10 problem. Something that's pretty small. And then you look at, my reaction is pretty big. So then you got to ask yourself, what what is the extra $80 about, right? And that's the internal battle for me is like, oh man, I've done that multiple times and had to come back and apologize to Janelle, talk through that. And she's had so much grace with me, which is super kind. I'm not sure I would have as much grace for me as she's had. So, yeah, what have I been learning, man? It's interesting. My mom, for the listeners who don't know, is a great woman. She battled cancer for basically the last 7 years. Went through a stem cell transplant. It's kind of the reason I moved out here. And so we kind of like you kind of prepare for it the whole time. She didn't die of her cancer. There were some medical complications when she went to the hospital, and there's a whole bunch of things involved, but it happened very quick. So, no matter how much you have prepared for that grief, you can't really prepare for it. I think some of the things that I'm learning that have been super important to me. My mom and I's relationship had multiple different facets to it. Some were great and some were not so great. Some were really hard. And I had set some boundaries up for myself that I don't think were bad. I think that they were good, but I was really challenged on some of that where maybe I was thinking too much inward. You throwing your phone? You mad? Uh, and I was kind of challenged, like, hey, what relationship are you committed to having with your mom? And I had no idea what was going to happen. And my wife and I talked, and we said, hey, like, okay, mom is sick. She's not doing great. We want her to know her grandbabies. We want to bring as much joy to her life as possible. And so we just committed to that, man, and we started trying to show up as more and be there more with no idea what was going to happen. So I think one of the things is like, man, those who you love or you invest in, like whatever the hard conversation is that you're avoiding, I would have it. Like I waited. I don't have too many regrets, honestly. I don't even know if it's a regret. I think the timing was fine, but I'm like, man, I had no idea. I had no idea. I went away on a Saturday, went up camping with the girls. I had no idea that I had seen my mom for the last time. So like I always say this all the time, like, oh, life is short. You got to seize the moment, but you also got to like press into those parts of life that you don't want to press into, because you can't ever guarantee results, but you can at least say that if you've been courageous, you've been brave, that you've done your best, and yeah, you don't know what's going to happen. I think one of the other things that I learned is the massive impact that my mom has had on so many people. Like, it's nuts. I know you came over. It's mostly all my dad's friends, Bible study people, and neighborhood people that like all showed up talking just incredible stories about this tiny woman that was like super powerful and influential in her neighborhood. Everybody was coming over saying she was the grandma of the neighborhood, would come around on, Father's Day and Mother's Day and give everybody gifts and, loved on us and would talk to us while we're riding it. We live in Scottsdale, very Scottsdale things like the Scottsdale moms riding their bikes in the front, having some drinks. And they would stop by and talk with mom. And she would say, geez, I wish I was young again. I wish I could go do that with you. And so, but yeah, I mean, she was a Jesus person all the way to the last moment, man. Like, if you're gonna live it, live it. Like she was trying to get the doctor that was, performing the surgery on her to like know Jesus, and just significantly impactful stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty fresh. So I think what I'm learning is still kind of coming together. But whatever you're avoiding, like we talked with Chad Brown, you know, like whatever you don't face will destroy you. Like whatever that dragon is that you're not willing to face today, that will destroy you. And you don't know when and how and where. All those things you don't actually get to plan out. The only thing you get to plan out is how you're going to show up. So, there's
One of
parts
the
of.
one of the thoughts that I wanted to remind you of. We'll talk about Wooster here in a minute whenever we reflect on the pod with Justin. But I remember doing this call with Wooster one time, and I was processing through something that I didn't have the words for, and he talked about the napalm warehouse. You remember this?
Hmm.
Did you ever talk to Wooster about this? These
I think I've heard it, but I don't think I talked to him about it.
It's like this city in Asia somewhere, and they had all of this explosive material, and they lost count of like the inventory. They kind of forgot about it. It was just this sort of ammunition and this explosive material. It was tucked away in a warehouse. It was fine. It was locked up. It was all over there. Well, apparently, the quantity of explosive material that they had in that warehouse was like far, far, far too much for one area of land. Like you can't keep that amount of explosive material in one place. And the worst happened, and there was this massive explosion and killed a bunch of people, just completely obliterated this whole block of the city or whatever. And Wizard's point in telling the story was that it's a lot like our emotions. It's a lot like the internal dialogue, our thoughts and our feelings, all the spiritual things that go on inside each of us, that if we don't maintain a kind of working inventory, it's just so easy to lose track. And it's
Mm.
not the good things that happen when we lose. It's not like losing track is not a good thing of this sort of thing. It's like losing track always leads to an excess of unfiltered, uninventoried, unarticulated emotions. And they just begin to kind of pop off.
Mhm. Mhm.
And one of the things, one of my favorite things about you is just the amount of time and intentionality that you put into self-awareness, and how you help other people uh, level up their self-awareness, become more self-aware, focus more on self-awareness. And I'm just always encouraged by how you are an incredible example of that. And I appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable with the audience, or vulnerable with me. And as this was obviously not planned, but I think an important opportunity for you to just take a moment in time and just share what you're going through and what's on your heart and mind, and how you're wrestling through it in real time.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't know that I always do a great job of that. I do my best to understand what's going on in here, mostly because I spent so much of my life not. And even still, it's when things happen and you pop off, you're like, whoa, whoa, what was that?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? So yeah, when you lose somebody, I mean, I never lost somebody this close to me. Like I'm sure I know there's some of our listeners that have lost a parent that know the level and extent to which that just kind of plays with your mind. But um, yeah, all I and the biggest things that I've learned is, man, love those people that you're with, and do the things that you don't want to do that you're avoiding, because
Mm.
you don't know, you don't know, man. So, um, which is why we need people, which is why we need friends, which is why we need community. Bring that all the way back to our shared community group. Like, there is a chance that you might be going through life alone, or you may not have the right people in your corner right now, in your business, in your personal life, and your wherever. Um, if you don't, and you think you can do it alone, you can. It's just lonely, and you can only do it to the level and extent you can. That old African proverb says, alone we can go fast, but together we can go far. Like, together is sustainable. So, maybe group community is not for you, daily leader podcast community. But if you don't have community, you need to go find some. You need to go get some.
Thank you. Good reflections, man. I appreciate that.
Rock on. So, all right, lounge. We're back. We haven't done a lounge in a while. I think you did some lounges without me, which is fantastic. Probably way better. You are
A little boring. A little
okay. I was
boring.
waiting.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I wanted you to say it. That was kind of a setup for you to come in and actually say that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just, we're better together. What are you gonna do?
Sure. Yeah, it's like a Jack Johnson song.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm kind of like Ricky Bobby, and you're like the other guy. I'm like Batman, and you're like maybe Robin, or, you know,
wow.
something like that.
Okay. So I'm the
Yeah.
Magic Man.
Well,
That's you realize Ricky Bobby's the one that kind of falls apart. He does come back at the end, I think, if I remember the movie. But
yeah, he's
that's
kind
fine.
of the main guy.
Sure. Yeah, you can
He's
stab
this.
yourself
He's
in the
the one who
leg.
slingshots.
Yeah, you can stab yourself in the leg and blame Tom Cruise and his witchcraft all you want, Brad. I'm okay with that. Um, moving on from that, as we are in our partnership and as we do here on the lounge, I don't have a cigar today. Maybe the next one we'll record it in a lounge, actually. But we got a few people. You want to talk about the people that we're going to talk about, reflect on?
Kind of my plan is Justin Benson. Let's be honest, he's your boss.
I've heard of
I
him.
know he didn't like that. He didn't
Sure.
like that, but let's be
That he's
honest.
my boss. That we
I
called
mean,
him my
he's your
boss.
boss. I mean,
Yeah, he's my boss. That's
it is
fine.
what it is.
I think I'm more okay with it than he is, but that's fine.
But but you are business partners though too.
Sure.
So
Yeah, it's a both hand. It's a both
yeah.
hand.
There's multiple hats being worn.
Sure.
But that was a lot of fun. Then we're going to talk about Alex Seal, fellow Chick-fil-A. I
Yep.
mean, similar to you and I, doing consulting with lots of Chick-fil-A folks and
Yeah.
leveraging his skills and environment with a multi-unit operator out there. Probably $25
Yeah.
million business, if I had to guess.
Bro
Couple
does
hundred
not
employees.
like sauce. Eats all of his Chick-fil-A
Doesn't
without
like
sauce.
sauce.
That's great. I actually
Come
like
on,
that.
what?
I didn't eat hardly any sauce the entire time that I was at Chick-fil-A either.
Dude, I'm living proof that you can get fat eating grilled chicken.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you put that Chick-fil-A sauce on, isn't it? It's like a Snickers bar, right?
Oh,
Just a little Chick-fil-A sauce.
it's not okay.
No, it's not. It's not. But,
Hudson Brock, all right,
yeah,
founder of Allohire. You played hooky that day,
I
so I did
did.
that one solo.
Yeah, you could call me Ferris Bueller on that one. It was my day off.
I
So,
like it.
yeah,
Oh, you borrowed Dad's car for that one. That's good.
that's right. That's right.
And then lastly, your tennis buddy and leader extraordinaire, Michael Christensen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I've got on the agenda. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good. Let's lock and load, man. Let's dive in. Let's dive in.